guys, I'm Sally Lyndley. Welcome to this episode of Shop with Sally. On this episode, I want to chat. We're continuing our conversation about redoing your wardrobe, shopping for your wardrobe, and then shooting a lookbook for your wardrobe. And the next conversation is really kind of setting the budget for how much you're able to spend for your wardrobe. And I kind of think of it in three different categories. So, and hopefully you have a substantial wardrobe built up and you're not starting from scratch. That's how I usually am working with a lot of my clients. I usually very rarely start from nothing. There's usually quite a few pieces I'm able to salvage from their existing wardrobe and then to add things in based on situations and what's needed and what they're just completely missing from their collage. So, and a lot of my favorite women at the top of fashion and, some of the younger girls I work with or who work with me intern in my studio, they're able to be completely stylish on various budgets and actually not purchase and buy that many things. And you can be really clever about how you spend your money and how you style yourself to make, very few pieces look really interesting, season by season. So the three categories I think of shopping, and I'm always going to recommend luxury shopping to you guys because number one, you'll have the pieces for the rest of your life. When you buy luxury clothing, a majority of it, and especially what I recommend, is made in Italy or made in America if it's from here, or made in France, and it's made with tender loving care from the nicest fabrics and the best sewing techniques and the best quality and love and vibes and juju that goes into those clothes, beautiful fabrics, so it's comfortable, it'll last, it's durable, and you can have it forever and ever and ever. And I think that's the whole point to me of luxury fashion, is not buying things that you're only going to wear for a season, but buying things that you're going to want to have for the rest of your life. You store things, you bring them back as trends come and go, but really it's about buying things that you can wear for years on end. That's how I shop, and that's how I live and work, and that's how I do my own wardrobe, so I encourage you guys to do the same. So the reason that luxury is so expensive is not only because it's not made in sweatshops like the cheap stuff, but because of the fabric and the trimmings, the zippers, the threads, and the artisanal men and women who are sewing are 1,000 times more qualified than the crappy machines from the sweatshops in the east side of the world, where a lot of the clothing from Forever 21 and those places are coming from. So you'll hear me beat on for years and years and years to come about how I always recommend luxury, whether you have to save your money or whether you have to buy consignment or whether you have to buy from Outnet or Ukes or wherever. What I do also when you're doing these things, I recommend always avoiding TJ Maxx, always avoid Marshalls, always avoid Ross. So these places don't actually, Nordstrom Rack's the same. They don't actually have very few, if any, especially for, maybe Nordstrom's Rack's different, but pretty much all the other ones I just named, they have really crappy clothes made just for them that were never in the store, that were never, not sold. They're not just discount designer, like Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, all those people who do clothes for Ross and TJ Maxx and Marshalls. They're doing a crappier, more horribly made line just to sell in those stores at a discount. So you're not getting any kind of deal. You're not getting anything that was once in fashion. You're not getting anything a season late. You're just plain old getting crappy clothes. So stay away from those. If you're going to go budget and you're going to go mega budget, here's the places I recommend to shop. I love Forever 21, even though it is factory, blah, 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 blah. I think that, if you have a small budget, then that's fine. And I don't want to just, not include people who have a small budget, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who are still working their way through the ranks so they can spend more on luxury fashion. But, Forever 21, I think they do a very good job of reading the trends. I think they do a very good job of translating the trends, and they usually have really great options in their store for someone who's on a budget. Same with H&M. And they both have online sites. I do regular recommendations from both of them. I highly, highly recommend both of those stores if you're on a budget. Also, Target, if you're in more of further out areas where you don't have an H&M or a Forever 21, and for some reason don't want to shop online, Target actually does a lot of work on trend forecasting, and they do a really great job with clothing and shoes and accessories to translate the trends and put them at an affordable price in the Target stores. So I highly recommend Target if you're also on a budget. And then a lot of the more classic pieces I get, like Fruit of the Loom and Hanes, all that kind of stuff, all come from Target. You can find them at Target. So Target's, you know, and they're much better than Walmart when it comes to like clothes and that kind of thing. Like Target does the designer initiatives. They're much more on top of it when it comes to, you know, more cutting edge trends. And then I still love Uniqlo. Uniqlo is very well made, very good fabrics. It's a Japanese company. Korean Japanese. They're killing it. They do really, really well. Their stuff holds up. I've had Uniqlo stuff for years and years and years, and the prices are great. So I also recommend Uniqlo. And then, of course, vintage and thrift. I love thrifting, but mostly for t-shirts and denim and things like that. Every once in a while, you'll find a great dress. I prefer vintage shops for dresses and more kind of dressier things like jackets and coats. But sometimes you can find them in the vintage store. But don't be scared of thrift and vintage. If you're on a budget, you can find fantastic things there. And then I also recommend eBay. Now, eBay I recommend to someone who's in a more budget or to middle kind of budget area. You can find really great designer pieces on eBay. You might have to pay a couple $100s for them, but it's a lot cheaper than paying a couple $1,000 for them in the store. So I highly recommend eBay. I found $20 Miu Miu skirts on eBay. I found Alaya for $30 on eBay. There's a lot of great finds you can get that are still real fashion, just like real vintage. So just make sure that you're not dealing with anybody who's doing like weird Chinese addresses that are probably just knocking things off. Don't do that. Stick to authentic pieces. Then, if you're in the I would call like the under $1,000, under $500 range in shopping, I would really recommend, and you want to do designer, I would really recommend going more towards consignment stores. Like Ina is the one based in New York that I really love. They have Buffalo Exchange. Buffalo Exchange is good for the budget and to the middle. I found McQueen at Buffalo Exchange before I found Chanel at Buffalo Exchange. So I feel like Buffalo Exchange is a good mix between a super mega budget and then the middle price. And then I love, like, again, eBay. I love Zara if you have more of the middle price because they tend to be more expensive, but things are made a little bit better than H&M and Forever 21, and they're very good at following the trends. I also love Outnet. I love Ukes for if you're on a budget, again, because Ukes is a great online discounter that does do real clothes from the runways and sell it at a much better price. And Outnet does the same thing. It's the warehouse for Net-a-Porter of what they didn't sell. So those two are my favorite if you're on more of a budget. And then the middle kind of priced e-commerce stores that I always pull from for you guys are Brooks Brothers if you're more preppy and tomboyish, Nasty Gal, which I love for the sexier girl, and they have stuff from like $50, $40 up to $200, $300. And then you have Free People if you're more of a bohemian and you have a little bit more money to spend. Free People is a great option there. And then, okay, so the last category is like luxury. This is for the women who like to buy a couple luxury pieces a season and maybe mix it with the middle price, you know, stuff. I'm kind of that girl just because I'm really not a place where I can spend $100,000 a season on clothes yet. I will be soon. Haha, just kidding. That's kind of crazy. I don't know. But I have clients who spend that much. So some people are in the awesome position that they can spend $100,000 a season on clothes. I adore you guys, and awesome, more power to you. So if that is your situation, or if you like to buy a couple luxury pieces a season because you want to have things that you'll have for the rest of your life, I highly recommend going to Net-a-Porter. That's my favorite. I always pull from that here. Barney's is fantastic. I love their buy at Barney's. Opening Ceremony is fantastic. There's one out of Italy that I adore. They do a really fun buy. The pictures of models on it are horrible, but I love the actual buy, and that's Luisa via Roma, and I'll put it below. And then I also love, of course, Neiman's and Bergdorf's if you're going into the actual store. I love Nordstrom here on the West Coast. They do a great buy. They have fantastic Celine and Rick Owens. And, and then Matches has started doing a really good e-commerce site. They're trying to compete with Net-a-Porter, and they've done a really good buy as well. So those are my favorites. If you're trying to figure out where you are in the budget, figure out if you feel like you're a super budget girl, if you're the middle budget woman girl, or if you are a luxury budget woman girl, and it'll kind of help you set where each item should come from that you need to buy for your wardrobe. And if you're going to spend money anywhere, I highly recommend, as my mother told me when I was young, spend money on your shoes and your bags first, because that is what people judge you on the most. And you can be wearing cheap clothes with nice shoes, or cheap clothes with a nice bag, and people get discombobulated. Plus, bags and shoes last forever. You can't get fat and not fit into them anymore. So that's how I shop with things. And then as you get to a place where you can spend more and more money on fashion, because this isn't about just being gluttonous and spending a lot of money, this is about buying things of good quality that you can have for the rest of your life. Like this Isabel Marant t-shirt that I've had for 5 years and that I love and it's still fantastic. Or my scarf from Elder Statesman that I will wear for the next 20 years. It's about buying pieces like this that you have for the rest of your life. And that's why I always push people towards luxury shopping. Even if you never really want to buy things full price, net-a-porter, that's fine. Just move into Ukes and Outnet and consignment or places like that, or even eBay. So that's my recommendation for setting your budget for shopping, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Shop with Sally. Check you later.